I have to say, I've always felt myself to be extremely lucky that I can spend my time doing this, because it's all I really want to do. So I look forward, particularly when I'm in the middle of a piece and I know what I'm doing next. It's the best thing you could possibly do. I've been lucky to have a wife who earns money properly, who kept me in food and home, and I've sold some work, of course. The drawings I do are largely to work out how I'm going to do this bit like that when that bit is already done like that. So they're notes and sketches, and my sketchbooks are largely full of numbers. How many thousandths of an inch I've turned the quill down to get to the depth I need, to remind me when I do the next piece to do it the same. So there's just page after page of numbers. There's a lot of shim there, but none of it thin enough. There's some. Attempts at perfection, which of course are impossible. Perfection is for the gods. But in order to check that the plate is registered precisely to the thousandths of an inch, I have a shim, a piece of metal that is 1/1000th of an inch thick. Cutting aluminium you need a cutting agent. So I use paraffin to cut a nice clean cut so it doesn't clag up. So in order that it cuts really cleanly, I occasionally, with a brush, lash on a bit of paraffin. And I spend my days soaked in paraffin. No naked flames when I get home at the end of the day. And the cutter on the milling machine has got a flat end at the bottom and is very, very precise. It's there to resist sideways pressure as the bed on which my piece of plate is strapped or bolted down. That's what moves. The first pieces I made were with a Black & Decker drill and a lot of hand files and sandpaper and elbow grease. As my kit expanded, it's all old, about as old as me, sort of 60s machinery. I found that generated a new kind of work, because now this is what I could do. That on top. So it was like buying a set of pencils or a new set of paints. So now my machinery is my vocabulary. So my vocabulary is the three cardinal axes, X, Y, and Z, and rotate. I can do flat things, I can do round things, and I can move the body of the milling machine up, down, in, out, left, and right. And that's it. And it's quite extraordinary how many possible things you can do. So I'm just machining off the excess, and then my final cut, I'll be taking a skim off the flat plate as well, all at once. And the striations of the cutting tips, you can even see it here, they're triangular, and you can see the point sticking down like a tooth. As you can see, the surface is concave, and indeed all this plate was quite a lot out of flat, by which I mean a quarter of a millimetre, but that's an awful lot. But if I'm working in half thou for the finish, it gives you an idea of what a small distance that is. My general interest is in science, ideas of science, objects that have evolved from an understanding of science which we can use to make things with, i.e. the machines I use, but also the devices, the set square, micrometer, vernier gauge, all the things that we use to be absolutely sure about where a surface is and how wide it is or how deep it is. The different surfaces, either super shiny, and the super shiny is not from any polish at all, it's from the very, very slow feed of the bed as it moves under the cutter, so that you get a depth to what you might call the background of the surface. I'm referencing a lot of the time the precision instruments that I'm using. The work tends to follow an idea until I've either got bored with that idea or I've run out of potential. So sometimes there's a series of 10 pieces with one very simple idea connecting them, but just exploring how different it would look if I did something slightly different, or twice, or from the other side. So I started drawing or applying, first of all, with rags to get it to fake a texture of age, if you like. And that developed into drawing with a dip pen with this rather viscous paint that resists the acid. And I started doing drawings. Now, because of its viscosity, the sort of gooiness, the dip pen tells you where to go because you're dragging the paint. You're not really drawing like you would with a pencil. The curvature and the appearance of it is defined by the viscosity of the paint. I can't make a fast gesture, which is good news because I'm inventing each glyph as I'm going along. It's in fact the exact opposite of what I'm normally doing when I'm machining something where I've got an objective, I've got a dimension I'm aiming for, and a speed I need to go, and everything is just noisy, messy, but precise in its result. And I really enjoy that because it's relaxing and it takes me completely out of my normal rational self. The perceptible human intervention with something, however long ago, like cuneiform, when they first saw it, it must have thought, when somebody dug up a clay tablet. Now, I'm interested in all those old languages, so the glyphs that I draw with this dip pen does not have a meaning, but it hopefully conveys that it might, and that leaves the viewer to decide what it might be. So the final cut is very, very fine, taking about 1.5 thousandths off, and so it comes off in one very thin string, but if I don't pull it away from the cutting tool that's touching the cylinder, it will all build up and build up and build up and start skidding and scratching. So I have to wind it as if on a bobbin. But it's so fine, I don't cut myself. It's not like wire wool being aluminium, it's so fine, it's like angel hair. So call it. I can't title the work. I hate titling the work, but I don't want it to just say untitled. So it would be, I need a poet, actually, to sit beside me and come up with all my titling. In fact, I got a jolly good title out of the technician who helped me install the show, because I didn't like the one I had. It was too literal. It's always too literal for me, unfortunately. I assume, as I'm working almost exclusively on the wall, that the light is going to fall on it at about 45 degrees from above, either from the sun on my wall or from a light in a gallery. And I'm conscious of that all the time as to which way I'm going to machine a surface, so I can play with the resultant line that is projected by the incident light. So you can get like crosshairs on a telescope. And I have often thought, I'm a bit of a fan of Antiques Roadshow, but I would love someone to turn up there 100 years from now with a little cube, and then the chap would go, oh yes, there was a minor sculptor who used to make these. The solution, I've already told my children, if I snuff it, is to give to anyone what I know, give a piece until they're all gone, and then we're all right. Then you don't have a problem of storage. That's definitely the plan, is to make sure that it ends up in other people's, on their walls, hopefully, in other people's possessions, which is, of course, the contract. This is the process. I'm making it because I want to make it. I like it if someone buys one for two reasons. One, I get some money, but B, because they like it. That really makes me happy.